Yeah, that's right. Welcome back, everybody, to a Freaky Friday edition of Can Notre Dame Turn a Second Dome into Their Home? I like saying it because it rhymes. I don't like saying it because Notre Dame can't play well at home. So I guess that's just a problem we'll have to address next week, right? So welcome in, everybody. It's a Freaky Friday. The chat is live. We got a couple people's on the line already. 631-361. You're going to be the guys coming up first. Dr. John, I see you in here. So thanks, everybody, for being here. I highlighted a few comments. There's some interesting stuff going on in the comments before we even get started here. So we're going to go through that. And a couple of these comments hit on a couple of the things I got to get out today. And we're going to open it up to you guys. We're going to have some fun here. One thing to keep in mind, tomorrow is going to be a little unique. I think that if I do a morning show at 9, it's going to run us right into the game. So we may as well do that, and we'll just run it right into it and get this game going early. No sitting around till 7:30 at night to worry, okay? So that'll probably be the plan tomorrow. We'll run it right into the ball game, folks. Right into the ball game, for better or worse. We'll have to wait and see. So let's get the introduction out of the way. Roll call, and we're going to get into some of this, okay? So obviously you can find the program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. If you're in the chat, take 1 second, hit the thumbs up. Appreciate that as well. Notifications on. That way you'll be alerted every time something goes on that I got to talk about, yell about, complain about, you name it. You know my routine by now. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat, Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want me. You can get me, except for these long ones, because I'm too cheap to pay to be able to dub it over, okay, into audio only. 312-988-15, okay? Fighting Irish Wire. Go check it out, folks. Go check it out. Make it a part of your daily routine. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to go over the roll call because it's one of my favorite things to do now that we got a consistent group. Kent, you're always the first one in line, Kent. Every morning I get up early, set things up, and then go have my coffee. I turn it on. Kent's already there. So he says he talked to Tommy Reese yesterday, and it's confirmed he's going superhero mode for the game. So I don't know what that means. Does that mean that, like, he's going to find us a whole new quarterback room before noon tomorrow? What are we doing? Is he able to go find 7 receivers that are just going to show up and ball out? If so, let's go. Deb Thomas, hello. Thanks for being here. Matt Miller, as always, it's really good to see you. Kent says, Tommy said that he's got this. Y'all need to calm down. I'm not going to calm down. You know that by now, Kent. You would like me if I calmed down. That's the sick part. You say that. Nobody would watch me if I was calm. What's there then? Boring information? You could get that anywhere. You want boring information on what happened in a game? There's 50 places to get it from. You want to not know what you're going to get? Holler at your boy, okay? Look at Kent. He's talking about we. Pretty sure he's probably trying to troll us all. We will win out and beat Clemson and USC. Beautiful plan. Can it happen? Oh, drunk. It's always good to see drunk in here. Not a drunk. Drunk. The guy's name's Drunk. Not good to see a drunk in here at 9:05, but the drunk. Totally different. Oh, man. Paul Conley, $5 holler. Every single day I do this show, Paul gives me a donation, a $5 holler, and then he tells everybody to support me. It's just fantastic, Paul. You're a nice person. Really nice person. It's one thing to donate. It's another thing to take up the cause for somebody else. Appreciate you. Oh, boy. Here's one of them that I had to address. You ready to be philosophical, John? Well, as a matter of fact, I sure am. Not too much today, but there's one thing big picture I've been thinking about. It came up the other day. I don't even remember what show it was I recorded, if it was a live one of these, or one of the ones I just recorded and set out. Talking about being philosophical. Check this out. I know I said this. Forgive it if I'm repeating. Big picture, looking at Notre Dame's season and the struggles we all know we've had, and looking at recruiting and where we're at, but the worries that we're going to lose guys, some of the inconsistencies there at the very top end of Notre Dame's class. That's the issue. You ain't talking about losing your last guy, bottom quarter of the class guy. No. These are top end guys. In regards to all of that discussion, here's what I'm going to say. This is what Kelly ran into. Freeman's here to stop, is this dynamic. Elite recruiting oftentimes puts you in the position for elite winning. Oftentimes, not if you're Jimbo, oftentimes, okay? Elite recruiting puts you in a position to be able to potentially win elitely. And elite winning puts you in a position to easily more recruit elitely. You following me here? Elite recruiting breeds elite winning. Elite winning breeds elite recruiting. Kelly had Notre Dame stuck right in the middle. Right in the middle. Very, very good on both, but not getting over the hump on either. And that's how Kelly ended up on a treadmill in no man's land. Not winning the elite games where you could pitch to a guy, hey, we just beat Alabama or Clemson in the playoff. Come play here. Look what we did. All right? You don't have that. And then Kelly wasn't getting the elite of the elite guys either. Freeman cannot be in the middle. If he's not going to win all these games, you got to figure out a way to out-recruit the negativity. So that's my only philosophical thing, big picture. I'm worried Freeman can't fall into that. With NIL, people poaching your guys, you lose games on the back end and it gets ugly. Like all those things come into chipping away at that recruiting class. Freeman can't afford it. Freeman's going to have the same problem Kelly did if he doesn't find a way out of this. Either win elitely, and that helps breed the recruiting, or get a whole bunch of elite guys, no matter what the record is, and then you can win, hopefully win with them. You just can't be in the middle. And that's where I'm getting nervous. If you read all the negative recruiting stuff, what's going to happen, getting poached, all that stuff. Freeman's going to end up in the same spot. If you can't get on one side of this or the other, you end up in the middle perpetually and you never get out of it. That was Kelly's cycle. Can't happen to Freeman. Paul, thanks for the $5 holler. So I guess I was a little philosophical. Mikey Pulse, check this out, folks. 631-361. You're going to be the first two. Mikey Pulse, John, I'm hopping on a plane to Australia in 5 hours for powerlifting world championships. I will do my best to catch show at midnight Australia time the next 2 weeks. First off, that's unbelievable. Second off, I'm mad you're getting to go instead of me. I really thought I had a chance at it, but I couldn't quite make it and beat you. Here's the deal. We're all pulling for you, Mikey Poles. You're pulling a bunch of weight. We're pulling for you. You're our guy. Let us know how it feels, how it's going down there, okay? Let me know. That's unbelievable, man. Congratulations. Oh, Chris Totten, Angela, good morning. Oh, I always say it. It's always good to have a Rudiger here. It's always good. MJH Irish, happy Q's lose Eve. I like that. Monsignor John makes me sound fancy, and that causes me anxiety. I'm not that fancy, and you all know it. There's some Rudy in the chat. That's after Angela. I've had mixed feelings on this, folks. Mixed 361. You're going to come up first. Matt Miller. I'm so glad this is a noon game. These afternoon night games cause me more stress. Listen, if Notre Dame was really, really good, then it's like that nervous excitement waiting all night. And Notre Dame's good. Everything's on the line. I'm into that build up. But in a year like this, get it over with. in a year like this and with our record, just get it over with. With this record, there's no reason I got to wait till 8 at night to see Notre Dame play. Just put the game on and let's see what it's going to be. But the reality of this is, here's the deal, though. Think about it this way, too. We always talk with Notre Dame about a hangover after a big physical tough game or a rivalry game, something like that, like a game that's really built up, and the hangover from that, what could happen the next week. You could argue that came into play with Marshall a little bit if you want. I don't know how you could prove it or measure it. Is that in play for Syracuse at all this week? Coming off a physical, tough, emotional road game against Clemson that they were winning most of it, ended up losing. Now you come home off that low, the high that turned into a low, and you don't only come home and it's a night game and blah, blah, blah. Boom, noon. You're out there at noon. So I don't know if that will impact them at all, but I know that gets brought up with Notre Dame after we come off a big physical tough game. And it might come into play for Notre Dame next week. Let's see how this goes. I don't know. MJH Irish, we're going inside them, outside them, inside them, and outside them. I feel like I've heard this speech before somewhere. I'm not sure where. I'm so offended. 199. Don't tell me what to do, Paul. Hey, I like that you donated to me to tell Paul not to tell you what to do. Thanks. I like that. It's a good angle. Angela says she actually got to help the kid that played young Rudy practice that speech. That's true. When you're in the Rudiger family and they're filming the movie, all of them get to be in the movie. You just don't know who they are unless you know who they are in real life to look for. Rudy's in the movie. Angela's in the movie. Angela from our chat is in the movie Rudy. She's in it. She was young, but she's in it. And if you look, I mean, there's no way to find her. But she's in it. Might be eating her soup, sitting in the living room. What are we watching? Channel 7. Look for it. Look for a cute little girl next time you watch the movie. Now, this is disturbing. All right, this one isn't disturbing, but the next one is. Man, I could go for some fresh squeeze OJ. The juice is on the loose. And that makes me nervous because I think of OJ when I say the juice is on the loose. And I'm not sure that's safe for anybody, folks. I don't know about that. Now, this gets disturbing, folks. John, I actually left work and went home to listen today. I will go back later on. Told the boss the exterminator was coming at 10. Adam, I love you, but geez, don't be lying to your boss on my accord. Oh, man. Tell him, we got a big game tomorrow. I got to go listen to this guy yell about Notre Dame. That is some dedication. I feel like I need to super chat, donate you some money for that loyalty. Man, I appreciate that. Wow. That's really impressive, Adam. I hope I can entertain you to make it worth it. That sounds risky, brother. All right. I'm going to save some of these chats and go ahead and get to the first call. 361. Anybody else wants to call? Jump in. 312-900-8815. I just want to know what you think about the ball game, folks. Want to know what you think. 361, let's have a little fun.
What's up, John? It's Mike, your 5'0" friend.
What's going on, man? What do you feel about this game? I've seen scores picked all over the map. Notre Dame winning, Syracuse winning, pretty close game. I've seen picks all over the board. How are you looking at this?
I will real quick. I got to be somewhat quick today. Unlike Adam, I do actually have a unplanned conference call in about 20 minutes, so I can't miss that. But I'll start with my prediction. I think Notre Dame wins 24-17. That's my prediction. And I know, I my show. I went through the stats, and statistically, this is so weird. The teams are mirror images of each other. Statistically, they line up almost perfectly. It's crazy. But when you dig into the numbers and the games, Syracuse has a little bit of a Notre Dame 2012 vibe going on, a little bit of escaping, and then games that are close shouldn't be. from their side, like the Clemson game, they really should have got blown out. They escaped Purdue. They escaped Virginia. They put up huge numbers against UConn and Wagner. What does that mean? I don't think much.
Yep.
I think their defense is very similar to ours in the way they play. There are some big plays, but they limit the points, and it's much like Notre Dame's defense currently. Their offense is what we do outside of having 3 running backs. They only have 1, but they only focus on 1 receiver. That's what we do.
Yep, I saw that too. And then let me guess, Gadsden or what? Gadsden, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Aronde Gadsden, whose dad had a great career with the Dolphins for several years. So they only focus on Gadsden, and then the only advantage they have is they do have one big advantage. I'll get there, but the receivers are more involved than our receivers. But they're not big plays. They're all high percentage, high accuracy receivers. Gadsden's your guy. But where the big difference maker is going to be is Schrader. And I know you already talked about it.
Yep.
He is.
I already hate it. I'm already mad, and it hasn't even happened yet because I know what you're going to say. I know it's going to happen too many times, and I'm already preactively mad about it.
And here's the thing. Let's focus on 2022. Forget the history of Notre Dame football in the recent history, but we made Jack Plummer look like Amar Jackson.
Yep.
We made Harrison Bailey look elusive. And it hasn't been just an Al Golden thing. It hasn't been just a Marcus Freeman thing. It hasn't been just a Clark. For as long as I can remember, Notre Dame seems to make Denard Robinson. How far back do I need to go? We make regular quarterbacks look elusive. What are we going to do with an actual elusive quarterback like Schrader?
Yep.
What's going to happen?
Yep. And here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. And I said this in my preview. Everybody sees that this guy is quick to pull it, and he's nifty, and he'll spin around and do this and that and run all over. Everyone can see it. It's plain as day. When I watched the Clemson-Syracuse game, it's the number 1 note I wrote down. I have no patience for it. Notre Dame can't let this guy run around. Can you just put one of those guys on him to spy him, and that's your job, is to hit him every single time and don't mess it up? Like Marist, like whoever you're going to do, somebody's got to hit that guy whenever he runs. I'm not open to this because it's the number 1 thing they need to stop. It can't not happen.
And I agree with everything you just said, but I have to ask you this. Who is that guy? We've seen the big plays that other teams are getting are all due to open field tackling or lack thereof.
Yeah.
We don't have a Jalen Smith anymore. We don't have a Kyle Hamilton anymore. We don't have a JOK anymore. Who's that guy?
Yeah, it's tough. This is a game I really have trouble getting a feel for. And a part of this is it's hard to pick a game when you don't know how Notre Dame's going to show up and look one week to the next. Like there's no consistency. Even in like 2012, you referenced, I knew what I was going to get every week. The defense was going to give up under 10 points. And then you hope Tommy could do enough in relief or whatever, or Golson to score 2 touchdowns so we could win. Like they were very consistent. You knew exactly what you were going to get every damn week in 2012. Here, I just don't know what I'm going to get. I have no idea how Notre Dame's going to look to open the game tomorrow. I have no idea, and it makes me nervous. I don't know where the baseline is to start looking at them anymore. Where's the baseline, man? Where are we starting from? I don't know.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, comparing Notre Dame to Syracuse stat loaded on teams you should load the stat sheet.
Yeah.
UConn, Wagner. For whatever reason, Notre Dame is loading their stat book against teams that you didn't expect them to load the stat sheet.
It's bizarre.
North Carolina, BYU.
It's bizarre.
And then
Dude, how do you explain that? How do you explain that Notre Dame's played so rough at home, and the games they played best in are against middle to middle upper tier considered opponents like that have some credibility, and on the road, and we played better? It makes no sense other than these guys play tight at home because they know there's 87,000 people like us looking at them, just waiting for something bad to happen. Like Like, what is going on? And it needs to get fixed before I'm there next week, because whatever happens this week, next week's going to be a thing. And that's going to be its own project of what we're going to do at home. What do you make of this? Why is it happening?
I don't know. That I guess what you just said makes sense.
But, like, what else could it be? Why do they play so tight and crappy at home? It's your home. Go to your home. Are you too good for your home? Like, come on.
They're trying to avoid the scrutiny, so when they get away from home, they're like the kid that acts. How do I explain it? They go to a friend for a sleepover, and they're like, "All right, I don't have to worry about my mom or dad getting on my case. I can relax and be loose and have fun." I don't know another, because what you just said makes total sense.
I don't know what else it could be. I don't know what else it could be, but I am telling you, I've been on campus for 2 games after Marshall, and it's been a weird vibe both times. That's all I'm telling you is I feel it. I feel it. And it isn't just me bringing it into town off the toll road. I could feel the vibe of, like, everybody's drinking their morning beer, but kind of like, I don't know what the hell we're going to get here. This is kind of weird. Like, I feel that vibe. It's palpable. And I don't know if they feel it at home too. All that pressure or the moans and groans when they go 3 and out to start a game. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's a problem. And it is something Kelly got right eventually. I give Kelly a hard time for a lot of things. He started winning at home late in his career, protecting that building. I can't have that just falling off first year. No.
No, absolutely. One thing I want to see, and I'm going to have to jump off here in a second, but the scan offense is whatever. I've got my opinions on it, and there's pros and cons to it.
But can I ask you let me ask you first. What is the reason for that? Is it just because Pine is fairly inexperienced and they want to make sure he knows exactly what they want him to do? Is that why you do that? I don't know any other reason.
What I think it is, it's an over analysis effort to get him more calm and comfortable. Like, if we slow everything down and have him look like he's gonna be less rushed, because he already knows, okay, I'm gonna have this moment of take a deep breath, look over, get set. I think that's gotta be playing into this. That's one of the things that makes sense to me, is they're not totally comfortable with him. He's maybe not totally comfortable with himself. Let's slow everything down by doing this. Give him a chance to effectively take that deep breath before every snap and collect himself.
Yeah.
But that sounds all great, grand, and wonderful, but if he's not responding and doing the collecting of himself, what does it matter?
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's hard to have any rhythm and flow when you're chunky like that, where you're stopping and looking and then thinking and then you're readjusting, and everybody, like, it's hard to play in rhythm. I guess you could argue that's better than playing sloppy, would be playing slow but knowing the play and executing it. But I just think that is a symptom of an offense and a quarterback they don't fully trust, and they want to make sure they get him in exactly what they want and limit the options. So I don't know. Here's the other thing, man. Clemson running the ball for 3 spins on these guys. Isn't it fair to expect Notre Dame to be able to run the ball fairly well? Clemson was looking at 300 yards on the ground, mostly Will Shipley, who I still want at Notre Dame. But isn't there a path there? And then it makes Pine's life a lot easier because we could run the ball. Does that not make sense?
Yeah. So here's I'll leave you here, John. So Clemson game. DJU threw for 138 and 2 picks. Then Cade Klubnik came in to save the game. He played all of the second half, and I think came in right before half. That kid threw 4 passes. He didn't save nothing. It was Clemson's running game. But I do have to say, Clemson ran the ball 60 times. Now, you're like, oh, well, that's how they got 293. But if you're able to run the ball 60 times effectively and still get 5 yards a carry, I think that has value. More importantly, only 2 of those 60 runs eclipsed 20 yards. There was a 21-yard run, and Shipley had a 50-yard run. Every other run was under 20 yards. There was a lot of short, 2, 3, 4,
yeah.
but there was 8, 10, of 9, 7, 6, 8. It was methodical, and that also limited the need for Klubnik to throw the ball because DJU was struggling, and Notre Dame has that blueprint. If Pine is struggling or we don't have the confidence, limit his opportunities. As long as you're getting 5 yards a pop, we can live with that. That's going to be the trick. It's not that we can't get 290 on the ground and run the ball 60 times. It's what's the effectiveness. And that, I think, is going to fall on Tommy Rees, not running Chris Tyree between the tackles. Use him on the outside. Use Diggs and Estime between the tackles, but balance Estime and Diggs. I know Estime's got a fumbling problem, but unfortunately, we're going to have to power through and give that kid confidence because Diggs is not a 28 carry a game guy. He can't be. That's not what he's built to do. So you have to use all 3 running backs effectively and in the ways they should be utilized. Tyree is not an in-between guy. He's an outside guy. So I think we should run the ball about 50 times for about 250, and that would mean Pine only throws the ball 12 to 15 times. And if that's what we're looking at, I think that's absolutely Notre Dame W, and it's a 24-17 game because the way their offenses are set up.
Yeah, that would keep the score down. I was going to ask you how you came to that somewhat lower score total, but if your roadmap is the one you described, that makes a lot of sense. Because if Notre Dame's going to be that run heavy, they're going to eat up more clock. That's going to lower the score altogether. And then the biggest thing with that is you run the game, you control the clock, then it feels like you control the game. And then it also, when it is time to pass, if you're running the ball better, that makes it easier on Pine to do so when it's appropriate. So that's the path to me.
Exactly. And the one thing I want to see is little things we've seen throughout the year, a variation, an evolution of that. Like a fake jet sweep to Lindsey and then pull the defense in,
throw it.
Them.
Yep.
Or the Mitchell Evans QB sneak. I would love to see him come in motion like he does, pause, and then boom, scoot over, direct snap to Pine. You know the defense is already going to be frozen for a second because they're expecting Mitchell Evans to get that QB sneak ball and then get behind the defense. I need to see Tommy Rees's brain recognizing we can build off of that when the other team is expecting that. And I have yet to see it, and I need to this week.
Yeah. Those are very fair points. I think the path for Notre Dame to win this game is right in front of us, and it isn't that fancy. You just have to play very solid. And like Freeman always talks about, we're a really good team, but we don't play really good all the time. I got news for you. You're going to have to play pretty darn good most of the next 2 ball games to have a chance to win them. You can't turn it on and off like a faucet and think you're going to be in close games these 2 weeks. So Notre Dame needs to try and put together 4 quarters of solid football.
Yep, and I'll be there 11 a.m. Saturday watching. Irish Car Bombs happening at 10:30. Tune in.
There you go, man. That's a good breakfast. Some of us have our coffee. You do the Car Bombs live on Twitter. I love it, man.
Thanks, John.
Have a good one. Good luck in your meeting, my friend. Enjoy the game. I'll look for your drinking in the morning.
Thanks, buddy.
See ya. 5 foot nothing, under nothing. Find them where you get your MP4s, your digital. Somebody else. Phone lines are up. The website for it's acting kind of goofy today. I don't know. Last show Wednesday, I lost internet completely in the middle of the show. It just said no internet. What do you mean no internet? I pay for fast internet. What do you mean no internet? In the middle of my show. Oh, you have no connection. What? What do you mean I have no connection? What do I pay all this money for? No connection. Kidding me? I almost connected my fist to my screen. How are you going to drop my internet in the middle of a live radio show? Couldn't believe it. 312-900-8815. Even though the website's being weird, try and give me a call. Give me a break. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, man. All right, I'm behind on the chats. This is one I got to address. And if you're here, you may as well note this. Are we going live from the coffin on the eve of Halloween weekend, Always Irish? If you don't think I got something planned for Monday morning's call-in radio show on Halloween, think again. Think again. That's all I'm going to say. Angela's probably the only one who knows in here from knowing me in real life how much I like Halloween. You better believe I got something good planned for Monday morning's call-in show on Halloween, folks. Believe that. In fact, I've been looking forward to it for quite some time. Let's just leave it at that. Did you see the Twitter video of our beloved team chaplain? Absolutely fantastic. One of the reasons I love Notre Dame. Yeah, I thought that was really funny. It was, the chaplain, the priest that's like on the sideline with the football team, dialing on the phone. Oh, yeah, we need some more offense. Yeah, we'll dial that right up for you. I could get that done. It was pretty cool. It's a unique thing with Notre Dame. Notre Dame 21-64. So, anybody got a clue what we're going to get this week? No. How in the hell could anybody really honestly be like, you know what? I have a pretty good feel of how Notre Dame's going to come out this week. How? Like, I just don't understand how it's feasible. I don't know how anybody could be confident and be like, yeah, buddy, I know how Notre Dame's going to come out. We're going to do this and that. No, they are too inconsistent. And that's a part of why your hair falls out every week. Because at least we'll give Kent some credit. Ohio State's really good. They're really good. They're really good every week. It's just a matter of how really good, a reasonable level of play that you're going to get pretty much every week from Ohio State. And then you see where it goes from there. But you pretty much know there's an established level of confidence and play you're going to get every Ohio State game. Notre Dame doesn't have that. We do not have that at all. Stanford killed any dreams of that. Before Stanford, that was allowed, I'll say. You ripped off a little winning streak there, a 3-game winning streak. Cal was ugly, but then you had 2 fairly decent-looking ball games. Trending up, people were willing to go. Marshall was just some dumb thing coming off Ohio State and the injury to your quarterback and the line gelling and all this and this and that. Stanford killed all that. You no longer can trust anything. That Stanford game was a big hit, folks. You just can't trust what you're going to get. And it's just tough out here. It's real tough. Oh, my God. I'm so offended. The internet went out, so I killed somebody to go to jail. That way I could use the jail's Wi-Fi. I appreciate your loyalty. I'm so offended. I appreciate your loyalty that you needed to watch the show so much that you went to jail where they have reliable Wi-Fi. Oh, my God. Angela, he may come on here in a Halloween mask. Does that seem like something I would do just to get a laugh from the group and have some fun on Halloween? I would never do something that crazy and spooky. Would I? I don't know. Don't encourage me, you guys. Don't encourage me. A wig would be better. Not a mask of her, just a mask in general. I'm not trying to look like her. Oh, here we go. Dressing up like Tommy Reese is the scariest costume of the year. Oh, man. What is this supposed to mean? John is too short and skinny to be a 5-star quarterback. Yeah, you're exactly right. You know what I have the perfect body type for? To be Notre Dame's starting quarterback, apparently. Oh, because ours is just about as big as me. I'm just telling you, he might be tougher, but he's still the same damn size almost. John, you were born to wear that jacket. Yeah, I certainly was. We saw it in a surplus store, and I just said it had to be mine. Dr. John's in the house in between the golf, man. He's getting a break between his, I guess if he's in Arizona, he's behind. So he's just warming up. Kent, now I know you're trolling. What did you say? Now I know you're trolling. It ain't that bad. We have Pine, legendary. I know you're just messing with us. That's fine. That is fine. Oh, you guys are killing me. Pouring a glass of Merlot. Well, good morning to you. Telling you, you guys have a lot of... Angela, don't be telling people this. They're going to get the wrong idea. Angela's out here telling people I've been known to throw a wig on. You got to tell them it's for Halloween. Angela, tell them it's for Halloween or they're going to get the wrong idea about Always Irish. That I'm out here on the weekends putting on wigs and running around town. Come on. There was a stretch, a 5-year stretch. I think I was Joe Dirt for Halloween every single year. I had the mullet wig. I would mark fake tattoos on my arm. I would cut up jean shorts. I'd go out to the bars, cutting rugs, dancing in my mullet. I love Halloween. And Joe Dirt's still hilarious. Look at this, drunk. John, damn, John, you lost your tan already. You're alabaster white. 260, you're coming up next, by the way. You know what I think you're seeing? I shaved the beard. I look darker with the beard. When I shave the beard and the sun hasn't gotten there, then I look younger, I think, and whiter. I don't know how else to tell you. I'll settle for competitive, good football. If they come out looking like they did against UNC, I'll be a happy fan. If they look like Stanford, F this team. Perfectly fair. Perfectly fair, Chris. And you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know which. You don't know which. Adam says, I hate noon games. It all depends. It all depends. The way we're playing right now, get it out of the way. The way we're playing right now, I don't need to worry about this stress for 7 more hours after the morning show. Just get it going. Get it going so then we can all move on with our day for better or worse. Okay? Ben Emery, good to see you here. I can't... A lot of people have a lot of things they want to see from Mr. Reese this week. Ready for fresh squeeze orange juice tomorrow, Brandon Fry. He's out there working today, working hard. I know. I appreciate you being here, Brandon. Good to see you, man. Game is 9 a.m. here. Woo! That's an early one, folks. And you know what else I got to recognize? That messes up the call-in shows, too. We're going to be early for them West Coast folks. 260, you're my hero. You're on the air.
Good morning, Donnie. How's
What?
it going on a Friday?
I'm doing well on a Friday, man. I'm just racking my brain trying to imagine what Notre Dame team and what version of it we're going to see tomorrow in New York. What are your feelings on this?
Right. Oh, man. I think every serious Notre Dame fan is in the same position.
Isn't it anxiety provoking, man? I just don't know where we're starting from. And it causes me, it feels like it's the first game of the year every week because you don't know what you're going to get and you're in wait and see mode. And it's bad for my blood pressure.
It's bad for mine too, and hairline. But I digress. But this is what you're going to get with a head coach with zero head coaching experience. I mean, I think we understood that there's going to be some bumps in this road. There's going to be, some bruises. And so I anticipated some sort of decline, decrease, and whatnot. But I look at this and there's concerns that I have with Marcus Freeman that I'm hoping he can address. And I'm just curious. This is a Friday. Let's get a little philosophical. And I'm curious.
I love that. Philosophical Fridays. We just created a new segment, Philosophy Fridays. I love it. Beautiful. Love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
So usually I'm X's and O's. So let's go with like a little high level. So
okay.
What I mean by this is, Marcus Freeman. All right. He was hired as a head coach for one primary reason, right? And that is recruiting. Would you agree?
Hired because of, I would say that is one of the primary advantages of why he was hired was the idea that you were going to get a higher ceiling out of recruiting. Not the reason, but that was certainly one of the biggest, because what couldn't be is evidence of being a great head coach. So in lack of that, we gave up some of that experience, Kelly had or whatever, for that promise of a higher ceiling in recruiting. In theory, we need to make sure we see that, and that's where I'm starting to get anxious.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, but as we've seen, Marcus can recruit. The man is a recruiter. He is the number one recruiter. So then I start going, okay, with Kelly, with his assistant coaching, he had more of the development type of coaches. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you have like a Chip Long that would get, aggressive on the recruiting trail and whatnot, but a lot of it was development. And recruiting was not priority, obviously, to Kelly, and this is why we're in this train wreck right now. Noticeable wide receiver QB, that's without a doubt.
Yeah, and it also doesn't help that some of the areas where we struggle in recruiting and development happen to be the most important areas that put up points and win playoff games in this era. It's quite frustrating because this team is solid in a lot of areas, just not the ones that win you playoff games. It's very frustrating.
Right, it is, but it's like the perception that I get, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you know more about insight. The perception I get with the coaches that Freeman hired are younger, they're hungrier on the recruiting trail. Like, they were hired because they can recruit. But if one of your main assets as a head coach is that you are the recruiter, why do you necessarily need individuals to go out there and to be the dog on the recruiting trail when you're that? Why not get people that can develop talent? Because the issue that we're seeing is, do you feel that this team in areas across the field has really progressed, or have they regressed? Because I would argue that on average, a lot of it's been regression, because I don't know if they're developing the talent that they have, while acknowledging there is lack of talent in QB room, there's lack of talent in the wide receiver room, but there's talent elsewhere that has not really taken a step forward.
Yeah, and I think here's where I'm at with that. I like this philosophical angle, and it's a small picture, immediate. How do we get through tomorrow and then next Saturday? And it's also tied into a bigger picture issue as well. You gotta hope the rest of this staff isn't just recruiters. Like, developing and teaching has to be a part of the deal. Like, it has to be. I think a guy like Chancey Stuckey is being touted as a really good teacher. That's something that's going to be direly needed in that group, because they're all going to be young the next couple of years, and we're going to need production out of them. But what I'm thinking is, what you're saying is right. There's some stuff off with the connection between what's being coached and then seeing it on Saturdays, and the consistency and on both sides of the ball. Do you get to the end of the year and that's where Freeman can call timeout and really analyze all this? Where are we where we want to be in certain areas? Where are we trending up that we want to be in certain areas? But what is the other side? Where did we get worse and why? Do you think he can have that honest assessment after the season and adjust? But maybe he feels he can't do much now, because you can't do any of that big picture stuff in the middle of a season where everybody's freaking out. Like, maybe he sees what we all see, but he feels he can't do much about it till after USC. Like, I don't know, but I just know there's a recalibration must take place to some extent after this year. I don't know what that looks like, but it's clear that needs to happen, right?
Yes, without a doubt. Well, let me say this. I hope he is seeing what the fans are seeing, that there is a regression on areas that we were hoping there was going to be a nice step forward. And because of that regression, those holes that we see every single week are not being filled. Now, literally, because our linebacking core, it's just not improved at all.
Yeah.
Not to mention, our defensive line, I would argue, has definitely taken a step back. Not saying it's been bad, but they have not been that dominant force that we thought they were going to be.
Yeah, and the issue with that is the areas of this team we went into the year thinking we're going to be really, really good and carry the team. They have to, because if they don't, the other areas are the areas we were already worried about and knew were going to be a problem. So then that's where you're in a double bad spot. When you were relying on that offensive line early in the year, well, they let us down. And then you were like, but the defensive line's going to eat right away. And then they kind of are hit or miss. It's just very frustrating, man. Is this just what year one looks like when you're in this dynamic, or is it exaggerated because it's Notre Dame?
Right. And so the one concern I had when Freeman was the defensive coordinator was it always appeared to be a lack of adjustments, in-game adjustments. I mean, where his defense, it just you can go back to the Florida State game, where you're consistently in a 3-down set, and all Florida State's doing is running a stretch, counter, trap, whatever, the same play over and over again, and they're just gashing you. There's no adjustment to that. No, so it's like, can Freeman now as head coach look at what's wrong and adjust it? Because that's the other frustrating thing is every single week it's the same thing. The linebackers aren't filling. The run fits are terrible. So at times the defensive line is not getting any type of push off the ball. The tackling is just horrendous this year. Okay, the quarterback play continues to just underwhelm. Wide receivers, what happened to Styles? It's like, what is the message being delivered to this team?
Yeah,
that's what concerns me.
Man, those are all good questions. And again, I'm like, is it a case where it's year one for everybody in this operation? There's so many moving parts, so much that's new, so much that has to blend. Like, is it just harder to get through all that in Notre Dame than I wanted to admit and we wanted to admit? I don't know, man, but it's a struggle. And like you brought up in your first minute, you brought up saying, I think we all kind of accepted there would be a learning curve here, Freeman's first year, like to expect some of those challenges, which is totally fair and reasonable. And everybody should have expected that. But I think what we're both saying is some of those challenges couldn't look this bad. Like, some of the challenges we knew were going to be challenges shouldn't look this bad. And some of the stuff we thought we could rely on should be a little more reliable. I think that's where this all comes to a head.
Right. And so it's perplexing to me. I don't like what I understand, not as a head coach for the first time, you won't understand, seeing the issue and being able to provide a solution to that issue. Push this button, say this, focus on this during practice. Because what's happening right now, the games aren't necessarily being lost on Saturday. They're being lost on Sunday through Friday. You can tell that there's never been, also the other concern with me with Marcus Freeman is the team is not playing a full game. They have never played a full game. They'll have a great half.
Correct.
But then there's that letdown.
Yep.
So it's like, there's just no adjustment to it. The other team adjusts, but they don't adjust. And that's always seemed to me that with Freeman, when he was defense coordinator, is that being able to counterpunch once that team has figured you out.
Yeah. Now, is that something that can develop over time, or is that something where you come in and that just is what it is? Like, or is that a feel thing that you can grow into, I guess?
The greats develop it. The greats can push those buttons,
Yeah.
The good develop it to an extent. Okay.
That makes sense.
Like, for instance, sadly I had to say this, but Brian Kelly is a good coach. He's not a great coach. He's a good coach.
I agree with that. Yeah, I would even say really, really, really good. I just can't crack him into elite. Right. Yeah.
No, not even, he's probably not even close to elite. Okay. But what Brian Kelly would do is, and this is why I'm glad he's gone, he would take a team like this where there's obvious, just glaring holes. You're not going to win big games with the QB that we have, okay? You're not going to win big games with this wide receiving core. You're just not, okay? So he'd be able to massage this team, go 6-1, maybe 10-2, get in the New Year's Six Bowl, and get exposed as a fraud. And that's why the narrative continues to build and say, oh, Notre Dame is overrated and blah, 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 which I understand that because in reality, the talent is not there that actually equates to the records that they're being produced. He's just out coaching most of the other coaches on his schedule because he's a better coach than they are. That's a fact. Okay, but when he goes up against the elite, he gets smoked. And the elite doesn't even have to produce a great game plan
Yeah.
to beat him. They just roll out and they're going to beat him.
I mean, so then we end up full circle. I mean, you need to, like, how do you get out of this then? Yeah, how do you get out of this? That what you're describing, how do you get out of it? It's frustrating. It's annoying. It's more of a learning curve than we all wanted. Excuse me. How do you get out of that?
One, you got to recruit talent. And then two, you got to develop talent. It's that you have to get the talent here and you got to develop it. And
those are two big red flag issues for Notre Dame recent history. Like, though you're saying the truth, but those are two areas that we've all had complaints forever. And it's easier said than done to get out of this. Like, people trying to poach your recruiting class. You have a couple dumb losses. Like, how do you keep this from unraveling on you?
I don't want to go down the NIL train because I don't know what Notre Dame's going to do with that. That's very concerning to me because with the age of NIL, I'm not going to say that winning is not important to recruits, but let me tell you, money talks and it speaks very loudly.
Yep.
And so you can be, a mediocre team, but if, hey, I'm going to pay $1 million to come here, guess what? Sign me up. That's what's going to happen.
Yep,
so,
and it already is.
Right, exactly. I think when I was at the gym this morning, I think that cornerback just said that he's committed to Miami. Miami's a train wreck.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it's. I wonder why he's going there. So having said that, you also have to be able to develop this talent that's coming in. And also the other part of recruiting that is not being mentioned enough is we are in the age of the transfer. You have to be able to recruit transfers to your school.
Yep.
Okay, and and the biggest complaint that I have about this team this year is the fact you had a chance to get a transfer QB and you didn't do it. Okay, so now I'm going to give you two scenarios on this because JT Daniels was supposedly coming. Again, I'm not saying he's the answer, but he's a hell of a lot better than what we have now. Okay, so here's what I'm trying to work through. One scenario is concerning to me. So you get when the JT Daniels want to come. Either scenario A plays out. Scenario A is Freeman goes, hey, JT, guess what? We like you. We want you to come, but guess what? We're not giving you the starting role. You're going to have to compete for this during the spring, the summer, and the fall. You win it, it's yours. If not, guess what? Sorry, we're not giving you any promises. JT's like, sorry, I want to go someplace I guarantee a start. Okay, fair. If that's the conversation, I can understand that. B is what scares the hell out of me. Okay. B is Freeman goes, hey, we already gets when JT wants to come here. Well, my concern is he's going to be better than the talent that we have. Therefore, he will be the starter. Therefore, lesser talent will transfer out. I can't disrupt the quarterback room because, oh my goodness, if I do that, I might lose a Tyler Buckner, which is an unproven product, and we don't even know what's going on.
Let me ask this. I mean this genuinely. I'm not being sarcastic. Don't you feel that a part of this was that the staff was almost like, Buckner, it's your time? Like, a part of me feels like it was just his time and they were going to do everything to give him the chance to be the starter and have that job. That's how I felt. I felt like they felt that's what they wanted to do because it's an in-house guy they could develop. And I understand that. And they probably didn't want to go patchwork transfer quarterback again after they just did it last year because that's largely unstable unless you're in elite win a championship now this year mode, which Notre Dame wasn't last year or this year, in my opinion. So I think a part of that was they felt like Buckner, it's your turn is almost how it felt. You can argue whether that's right or wrong, but that's how it came off to me was it's your turn, buddy.
Yep.
Not that he didn't earn it. I'm not saying he didn't earn it, but also everybody knows the frustration of his development and the injuries and everything. I just felt like it was his time and they were going to let him have a chance to do it.
Right. Because, and sadly, I hate to say it, that's old school thinking. And I understand new school just happened 5 minutes ago with this transfer, but now in transfer land, you have to have the mindset of getting the talent in-house regardless of, okay, we feel we owe you something because you chose us, you signed the dotted line.
Yeah.
unfortunately, this is moving into NFL light, man. Like,
Yeah.
we don't like this owing isn't a thing anymore. You know, this type of loyalty. I hate to say it like this, but it's quickly evaporating.
No, well, you can't afford. Nobody can afford loyalty because the world moves too quick now in college football. Like, you can't afford that, whether you're a player or a coach on a staff. Like, it's just all changing, man. And the reality, it's funny you bring this all up because one of the things I was going to record for next week was ways Notre Dame could help Marcus out. And you're hitting on them. NIL was one of them. Making it easier for guys to transfer in there's one of them. Like all of those things. Because if Notre Dame cannot afford to not play that game and then think they can compete, Notre Dame already has a hard enough time getting talent. If you don't get into any of that at all or enough that you can help, I don't know who gets out of this.
Nope. Well, welcome to 7-5 and 6-6. Purgatory.
Yeah, well, I was thinking if I write an article about this for USA Today, I almost want to write, is it going to be NIL or IVY for Notre Dame? Because that's almost what your options are going to turn into.
Yep.
If you don't play that game.
Right.
So, and I'm not asking for anything over the top. I'm not asking open the books and let people in that can't read and are robbing the campus. Like, I'm not asking for anything wild. But for Notre Dame to compete in the modern era, they have to adjust more than they are.
You have to.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because if you just bring in anybody and pay, guess what it looks like? It looks like Texas A&M. That's what that looks like.
Yeah.
That thing is a train wreck. Okay, because I mean that's the thing with Jimbo Fisher. He got lucky 1 year because everything just broke right. He had a great quarterback, whatnot. But now it's like he's always been able to compile talent. He's just never been able to develop it or harness the talent. You know, so but they have to adjust, and this is what concerns me, man. This goes back to the problem. So, who in the hell is Notre Dame's quarterback recruit for the class of 2023?
Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. You know, and I hear that they're working on it, and they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. They're sniffing around the Oklahoma guy, Arnold. It's not like they're good either. You know, yeah, you got to figure that part out.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you: if I hear, because again, I don't follow recruiting too closely. Pretty much whatever videos that you post, I'll listen to it. You know, so I can, you know, okay, this name, I'll look for this on Saturday, what have you. But if I hear the qualifiers of a Notre Dame commit as their quarterback commit as Poxy, or Moxie, poison in the pocket, a gamer, what he lacks in arm strength, he makes up in athleticism.
I'm sick of that. I am sick of that. How many decades do I have to have that? I'm sick of it. Why can't we just have an elite prospect like everybody else? It's Notre Dame. You can't find one guy that could be great, that wants to wear that gold helmet and be the quarterback. I can't believe that. I can't. This quarterback dynamic at Notre Dame is why I'm going to die 20 years earlier than God intended. I'm serious. How many decades are we going to have this? Oh, but he's tough. And Ian Book's tough. And Drew Pine's tough. And Tyler Buckner's a tough runner. And this and that. Just give me a Drake May. Why can't Notre Dame have a Drake May? And then we develop him and see how much easier life gets when you have that kind of guy in your house.
Yep. I want to hear big arm, can complete all the throws, stands in the pocket, screens and throws receivers open, like those type of qualifiers for a quarterback. And so I'm assuming Notre Dame's going to go for transfer QB this year, or do we not want to disrupt the quarterback room? Because if you get a transfer,
but you're not. But here's the deal, though. What you have in the quarterback room isn't good enough for you to worry about disrupting.
Agreed.
How about that? You bring up a good point. That's my response to it. Nothing going on in that room is good enough that you should be scared you're going to disrupt it. And that is a damn fact. That is a fact. It's a legitimate concern, but only if what you get is really good, then you have that worry. But nothing going on there is good enough that any of those feelings should be protected. I'm sorry. This is a business.
Agreed.
That's just the way it is.
That's my concern with Marcus Freeman, man. It's right there. Is not understanding this is a business. that you are going to have to make decisions that people are not going to like. Your job is not to make everyone happy. Your job is to win games. And guess what? You're going to piss people off when you do that. You're going to have people transfer because you've got to make tough decisions. Okay? That's my concern. And the way that the way it's operating right now. Why are some people playing over others that are producing? I don't understand that. Why? Because what I default to, I can't attribute motive to action because I'm not there. I don't know what these people are thinking. All right, I hate doing this, but you get the impression we got to play these people because we got to keep them happy. We got to play these people because when you got younger talent that is there that are flashy constantly, but nope, going back to the sidelines. Oh, we got to get this other person in there who's just not going to perform at anywhere near that level.
Yeah, I keep being told. It really rubs me the wrong way. By the way, we got a bunch more callers. 818-703-219707. I got you all up. It's really, really frustrating because whenever I say something like the older guys, the protector of your culture, have totally caved at home and ruined the season, I have no deference to them. I'd rather have young guys play and make their mistakes now in a season that's already, you can't accomplish your ultimate goals. But I keep being told, well, John, you're not at practice and you got to earn the chances in the game by what you do in practice. Well, I got news for you. If the guys who do earn the chance in the games are causing you to lose to Marshall and Stanford at home, and you don't trust anybody behind them to do better, the whole thing's screwed. If that's where you're at, the whole thing's screwed.
The way I look at it is this coaching staff, and I'm not trying to knock them, they have not earned the right for us as a fan base to just trust them for what they see in practice. They have not shown me that their talent evaluation is on point. Okay? Maybe they do know this, and it's behind closed doors. They're not going to let the fan base know, like, my goodness, like, Pine is terrible. We hope that Buckner does a good – I hope that's actually what's happening. But what we're seeing each week is not that. It's not coming to fruition, and that is what's really concerning me. Is it lack of talent evaluation, or are we too nice? Are we too old school in this new age? I don't know.
Now,
so I don't give these coaches any sort of leeway on that.
Here's what I'm open to. I am open to riding out the rest of this year, as rough as it's going to be or good as it's going to be, whatever's left on the schedule, riding it out. And then after USC weekend and they get done recruiting the West Coast, which is what they do when they're out, we go out there those years. I need a full evaluation of where we're at after year one. What worked? What didn't work? What's trending up? What got worse? Why? And I need to see some fixes. What's really going to worry me is if Freeman gets up there after the season and goes, oh yeah, kind of rough, but we're just going to run it all back next year with better execution and then we'll be good. I'm telling you, I love Marcus, but I can't have it. He cannot go, we just need better execution next year and everything stays the same. No. There was a learning curve, and what you've done has gone below it. I'm sorry. There was a learning curve, but this is way below it.
Right. And don't get me wrong. Yes, execution has been problematic at various times, okay? Hold on to football, SMA. How about you don't fumble it, okay? As well as there's wide open receivers. Fine. How about we hit them? They're running down the field. Just hit them. But having said that, once again, we should not even be in that situation where Estimate fumbles the ball late against Stanford and that costs us the game, essentially. Like, that should not even be at that point.
Yeah.
We should not even be there. We should not be running the ball all the second half against UNLV because, my God, if we throw a pass, holy hell, we don't even know what's going to happen to it. You know? Like we should not even be at that point.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's frustrating. So, all right, I'm going to try and get somebody else in here, but I really appreciate this angle. So what happens, man? Even building in the fact no one knows how we're going to show up. How do you see this morning affair tomorrow?
Well, let me ask you this. My last question for you. What is the probability of Drew Pine completing 65% of his passes tomorrow? What do you think?
65? Man, that's tough.
Or greater.
That's tough because North Carolina, BYU was 75, and then Stanford and UNLV was 49. So you got it somewhere, right in there, 60, 65. the other question I have is how many passes is he going to have to throw? If you can run the ball like Clemson, he shouldn't be asked to whip it around 30 times.
I agree. I think Notre Dame can and will run the ball. But if you watch that Clemson game, there were people that DJ just completely missed that are open 20-plus yards downfield.
Yeah.
Terrible throws. That's why he got benched. But me, what I look at is this for this game tomorrow. If Notre Dame can effectively run the ball for 225-plus yards, no turnovers, okay, and they can tackle in space. That's the other caveat. If they can tackle in space, especially the quarterback,
yep,
going to run it. If they can tackle in space, I think they pull it out.
So what you're saying is if they can play a decent, normal, solid game of college football, right? You didn't say, like, that's the thing, man. You didn't say anything outrageous. What you're describing is called good football on a Saturday is what it is. Solid football on a Saturday.
And it's not even great football.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's competent. Yeah, competent with, man, this is frustrating. I hope we see it, man. And it would certainly make everybody feel a lot better about what's coming back to our home park the next week. So that ties into that. It'd be good to come back with some momentum.
And what's crazy, and I'm going to eat these words, but I see that I have a higher probability that Notre Dame will beat Clemson than I think they'll beat Syracuse.
Interesting.
I really do.
Just because of the dynamics.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Well, man,
at home.
I really appreciate the call. These are good philosophical thoughts. You hit on a lot. Everything you've hit on, I've been thinking about, and I have concerns about it too. I'm holding out hope that Marcus does a complete breakdown after the year, and you would rather be ahead of changes than too late if you need them. Look at BVG. So if there's anything you need to do, you'd be better off to move on it. So I hope he takes a fair look at everything, including himself.
Yep, agreed.
Beautiful. Well, yeah, great call, man. Enjoy the game.
Yep, you as well. Go Irish.
See ya. Go Irish. He had some philosophical thoughts here. 219, you're on the line. 818. After that, 703-707. Next one's up. 219, what's going on?
John, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? What do you think? I could see it going a bunch of different ways. What Notre Dame team do we see in the Dome away from home?
Oh, man. I have the exact same feeling I did BYU week.
Similar dynamics. Very, very similar dynamics in a lot of ways.
Early in the week, you looked at, you watch a little of the game Syracuse have played, and you're like, man, there is no way we're losing to these guys. If we just play an average game, we're winning. But then as the week goes on, you kind of start looking at some of their stats and where they are in defense in the ACC and the way they played, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Maybe I'm being overconfident.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the way Notre Dame plays, you just never know what you're going to get. So any game could be a good game or a bad game or a tight game or a stressful game because you just don't know. But I'm with you, man. When I did my confidences and concerns article for Irish Wire, one of my confidence was we just play better in these situations. Away from home, on the road, middle upper tier opponent. I think we could agree Syracuse is that. North Carolina was, and BYU was considered it at the time. Notre Dame has a history of playing good in these moments. It's when they play best.
Yeah. No one thought they were going to show up to North Carolina, even though North Carolina's got a terrible defense and play solid. And most people didn't think they were really going to beat BYU. I mean, everyone, people thought BYU was a real good team, even though that's kind of not the case now. But they're an average team. They're a lot better than Stanford and Marshall. And we played good football in those games.
Yeah. It's just a matter of my anxiety level coming from the fact that I just don't know what the baseline of play is going to be tomorrow. They're too inconsistent for me to know. Are you confident they'll be able to run the ball? Clemson right around 300. I don't see any reason Notre Dame can't get well over 2, and then that lightens the load on what you need out of Pine. I think that's a really good path for Notre Dame.
Yeah, they should be able to. I was watching a little of Syracuse, and it looked like they played a lot of 3-man, like light box front. That it looked like, we should be able to run the ball until they bring some people up.
Yeah, you would think, and it's like, I don't know, man. I flip it over to defense, Adam. What do you think about Notre Dame's defense? They going to be able to contain this quarterback Schrader, or is he going to be spinning out a tackle, arm tackles, and running for the first down and doing all that stuff that makes you want to pull your hair out?
Well, just like your concern that you said, I think you were spot on. The quarterback looks like he's a gamer. Like he can break tackles and make plays. If we can heat him up and pressure him, and then obviously Tucker and the receiver. I mean, if we can just, I know we have a tendency of this, but giving up the big plays, we cannot give up big plays to those 3 guys.
Yep. But the thing is, man, when I did my breakdown, my 2 bullet, it's not like playing Ohio State where you have to worry about everybody all the time, the quarterbacks, all the wide receivers, the running back. Like, I see this team a lot easier to shut down. One is you do not let that quarterback run at all, and you pop him every time legally that you get a chance. That's number 1. Number 2, bracket, double, whatever you want to do on Gadsden, the number 1 wide receiver. I'm confident Notre Dame can handle the rest. If you could do those 2 bullet points, Notre Dame's in a good spot defensively. Can we, though? I don't know.
Yeah. If we could, I just think everyone, you've been spot on. If we can just play an above average, solid Notre Dame football game.
Adam, somebody just put in the chat, what's the weather report tomorrow for this dome? Oh, man, I like it when people are funny in the chat. I don't know what it's going to be inside there. 72 degrees and humid. I don't know.
Now, I do have a story about a dome that's kind of funny, real quick.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we played Purdue in the Shamrock Series down in Indy.
Yeah, I was there, man. Private suite. Johnny Boy had his own waitress. I had my own elevator, my own bathroom. That was the best Notre Dame game of my life, being in that suite, by the way. But I digress. Keep going.
And it was like a 40 or 50 degree game. And my wife, she hates the cold, right? And I told her, oh, don't worry about it. It's in a dome. The game's in a dome. Don't worry about it. You don't have to dress warm. And we get there and the roof's open.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
And she's freezing and she's going. She had to go buy a sweatshirt at the gift shop and all this. And then, so I guess the moral of the story is sometimes it should be cold in a dome. Yeah, it's man, that's funny. That place is wild too. That place is huge. That's a big place there in Indy. So I feel like it's critically important Notre Dame pulls this off to have some good vibes going for Clemson. It's going to be dark if you do bad on this one. It's going to be a death march when I'm in town next week. Yeah, tell me about it. You want that game to feel like it means something. And hey, let me tell you this. Somebody put this in the chat, and I don't know if this is a fact or not. Did you know Notre Dame is dead last in the country in terms of targets for wide receivers? That is ridiculous. I have not seen that statistic as a fact, but if it is one, it's just really disappointing. It makes you very easy to defend when that's the case. It really does. It's unfortunate. Yeah, that's horrible. And to be honest with you, John, that doesn't surprise me. If you think about how many catches Lindsey and Styles have had. Yeah. Which they have dropped some, and we've missed them a lot, but still, it's rough. I mean, that's kind of where I'm going here, is that this season, it isn't even about the season anymore. It's about this last half just being average and getting done with the season and not losing recruits. Yeah, but man, it's really sad. But like I was thinking about that last night too. Like all the big reasons you're excited for your team to enter college football, you're over for us. They just are. It's just a fact. Like there is no big postseason occurrence for us. It's just over. But I'm with you. You need to limp through this last month and a half or whatever.
maintaining whatever integrity you have, getting any win you can in hopes of band-aiding and sewing up that recruiting class so that Freeman could get to the end of this year and then recalibrate where we're at and where we need to go.
Yeah, and the last caller had a ton of good points.
Yeah, he was on a roll. He had bullet points. He was on a damn roll. I let him go because I knew he was organized and he was on a roll.
Yeah, a ton of good points. And I'm with him to where it's kind of scary. I wanted Freeman too, and we were all excited for Freeman, but it's really scary to me if he loses this recruiting class because of this horrible season, and we go in the spring and we roll the ball out and we say, you know something, we're just going to keep the same guys. We were real close last year.
That's going to make me nervous.
I know it's hard for him, one season, make a bunch of changes, but this offense, it's the reason why we're in this spot. Everything offensively is just terrible. And don't think that's not being negatively recruited.
Every day, every minute.
Why
every
would
minute.
You go to Notre Dame? You're not going to put up any numbers. Why would you go there?
Yep. Every minute that's going on. But don't you think Freeman's been around enough high-level winning football and mentors that have won at a high level? That the guy was drafted by the Bears. I'm not going to act like he doesn't know what good and bad offense looks like. Right? He's been around high-level winning football. He's got to know what we're getting, isn't it? He just might feel trapped right now because he can't change what he wants to change in the middle of the year. I'm open to that evaluation happening after the season. But if he says, we're just going to run it all back and then execute a little better next time, it's going to be a long offseason with a lot of questions because that's going to make me very nervous about where this is headed. Very.
Yeah, that's why the biggest decision he makes is offensive coordinator.
100%.
Getting offensive people in the room. So, but like I said, it's not about the rest of the season. It's about just having a good enough season to keep the recruits and see what he does in the spring.
Yeah.
But if he comes back with the same style, it's not even like you have to get rid of Tommy. Maybe get him some help. Maybe get some, Saban gets those analysts in there every year to help with stuff. Something.
Yeah.
Something's got to change.
Yep. And so I am a little bit excited, honestly, to get to that point to see how Freeman addresses it. But I have some things I need to happen, and it's going to be scary if they don't. Let's just leave it at that. He needs to know this isn't good enough and already be thinking about the way out of it.
Yeah, you can't roll out the coordinators or issue. You cannot roll out the same quarterback room. I know we got receiver help coming. The running back room's actually good in what's coming in. But so you just can't roll out the same coaches and the same quarterback. And that's the most important thing in offensive football, really. Quarterback, play caller.
Man, I'm telling you, I still, in the middle of all this frustration and angst, ask myself, if we had Drake May, what would our problems be? How much better if we had the same setup, but it was Drake May at quarterback in one piece, big and strong, make all the throws, bright, just going to keep getting better. How much different all of this dynamic would feel. We just don't have that guy.
Yeah, we've talked about this the last couple of weeks. You've asked that question to me. What would our record be? What would Drake maybe? I think if we had someone similar to Drake May, we'd be 6-1 probably.
Yeah, I would think so too. Just with that one guy, even with the bad receiver situation, that quarterback makes up that difference in the games we lost. So there is some aspect to this where it is in my head that you're one elite quarterback that everybody could rally around that has elite talent away from pulling this all together in the right direction. Are we waiting for Carr to be that guy? What's going to happen between now and 2 years from now? That's like a lifetime in football.
You need to get as many of those guys in the room. Transfers, multiple recruits. You're not in any position to pick and choose and say, no, we're good. We don't need that guy.
Yeah.
We're in no position.
Yeah, it's very tough. But the bottom line is, no matter how the remainder of these games go, Marcus Freeman has a lot of really tough analyzation of what went right and what went wrong this year that he has to do all over the place. Himself, on the field, coaching, preparation and practice, where these guys are at mentally, just like how they're entering games, all of it. It all needs to be looked at and recalibrated. So I'm open to Marcus doing that and adjusting, but only if he adjusts.
Yeah, I mean, John, we've ranted about all the deficiencies, and there's multiple. But I think you're on a dang good point there to where if we had a good quarterback, this might all look different. We wouldn't be losing any recruits. We'd be one loss, looking at 2 or 3 losses, and just the lack of recruitment at wide receiver and quarterback is really haunting us right now.
And the thing is, there's light at the end of the tunnel in the wide receiver room to a large extent. You know, they have some good talent coming in there that I do believe in, way better than what we have overall. And then they're going to stack that in 23 with some more 24 guys. That room's going to get healthy in the next couple years and not be a huge albatross, I believe. Are those guys Ohio State's guys? I'm not saying that. But from where we are, it's a major upgrade. That whole crop of 23 guys coming in is a big upgrade. So you got to figure out the quarterback thing. And if that means it has to be a transfer for next year to stabilize things until Carr comes, whatever it is, you just need something stable in that room, and we don't have it.
Yeah, you at least got to bring somebody in to compete with Buckner. You can't just hand it to him again. And we know Pine isn't that guy.
Yeah, it's just this is just not a good spot to be. These are the conversations you just shouldn't have to have. And it blows my mind. Notre Dame never has a year where we enter fall camp and we say the one thing we know is Notre Dame has an elite arm quarterback that can make all the throws, and we know we can rely on him and build a team around him to win with. Other teams all over the country say that in the summer. Not us, not ever.
Well, we've been calling for this since the 16 rebuild, the 17 season. We've been calling your show and commenting to you, begging for a big boy offense, and we still have not seen it.
Yep.
Not even 1 year.
Yep. It's amazing. It really is amazing. I can't. It's hard to fathom we're in this position. I'm just so sick of being here. So I don't know, my friend, but it's going to be interesting tomorrow.
The points from earlier too, the previous caller you made, you definitely need to have these young guys playing more too. It's like, what are these, I don't know, seniors and grad students actually doing for us playing right now? I mean, they're doing nothing for us playing. They're not winning. They're not the future.
Yeah, but you're not at practice, so you don't see who deserves the shot to make us look bad and embarrass ourselves at home. You're not at practice, so you don't see how good they are.
I am at the games and have watched them lose to Stanford and Marshall. I am there though.
That's my argument too. My argument is you lose the deference towards you as an upperclassman or veteran or captain even, when you are a part of the reason that you allowed us to get dog walked at our own place by 2 bad teams. I can't stand for that. So once you allow that to happen at home, I'm not loyal to you. You let us all down. I'm going to let some other guys that are hungrier to defend our home turf play. But I don't know. I'm not a coach. I'm a dummy. So whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah. We're all dummies here.
I know. So what I want you to do is wake up and enjoy a cold drink on Saturday. Enjoy the game. And then call me Monday. I'm going to have a spooky Halloween theme edition of the call-in show. Call me Monday.
John, we got to get this win and do some hate watching on Michigan. That's all I want to do Saturday.
Yeah, I know. But that only works if Notre Dame wins. If they lose, I'm not in the mood to watch any other football, and it ruins it all. So if we win, then I'm on the hate watch trail, buddy.
I know. But go Irish. But I think we should be confident. I think we'll be all right if we just play an average game.
There you go. Let's hope we get some solid play. Thanks for the call, man. Have a good Friday.
I will see you. Bye.
See ya. $4.99. I'm so offended. Being from the West Coast, I can't help but worry about the USC game. It's a problem, and there's a lot that goes into that game I'm not even ready to get into because we have two big ones before it. You cannot let that rivalry flip the first year that you both have new coaches. You just can't do it. Perceptually, it's a bad look. Practically, it's a bad look. In recruiting, it's a bad look. I repeat, you cannot let the rivalry you've owned the last handful of years on USC flip on you. Year one, we both got new coaches. Now they have the power. No, absolutely not. And I'm afraid it might happen, but it can't. Jacob Saylor, $10 holler. Somebody explained to me why we're the only team that acts like it's not okay for one wideout to have 4 or 5 TDs. I don't care if Tobias caught all the passes, if he put up crazy numbers. You cannot look at Notre Dame's passing game through the lens of what a normal passing game does or looks like. You just can't. They're so far behind that, you can't. Super upsetting. Man, it's wild. $10 holler, MJH Irish 10. Play like a champion today. That's what I'm talking about. I'm down for that. I've been waiting for Notre Dame to do that my entire life. I'm still waiting. 818, make it great. You're getting pretty good at that.
And then we'll come out, everybody.
Yeah, you're getting pretty good at that. That was an extended version. How long you been practicing that one?
No, it's not practice, John. This is improv. Come on.
Oh, man, that's a good one. I mean, you might need a little tea for the throat after digging deep on that one.
Oh, are you kidding me? I just got my vote all gravelly, and now I'm like, I hope I can get through this conversation.
So,
okay.
What do you make of this? Is Notre Dame going to show up and play decent football tomorrow, or are we in for another nightmare?
Well, it'll be, let's see, we're 2 days before Halloween as of tomorrow. Okay. So this could be what I was talking to you about. I think it was in one of the tailgates you were at, and I was talking about, I had this idea years ago when Notre Dame was in those doldrum years and the Charlie Whites those last few years. And my buddy and I were huge Halloween fans. Always, decorating the house, haunted houses in my place, hire actors to come in and do it. And so we'd have a fog machine there in October. And whenever Notre Dame would make a bad play, we put on the fog machine and
I like that.
Have some fun with it.
It's getting spooky in here. I like that.
I have no idea what to expect, John. I really don't. I mean, I guess if you look at what we've done this year, that's the only obvious, this new coaching regime, this is what we have. This is what we're looking at. It would make perfect sense. I'm thinking Clemson played Syracuse last week. Syracuse played Clemson last week. And we played UNLV. We're now on the road. They're coming home. I'm kind of getting the impression we're going to be the ones ready to play, and Syracuse may have a bit of a hangover. That's sort of just taking away the uniforms, taking away bias.
Yeah.
I kind of think that's what's going to happen. Not to say they're not going to be up to play Notre Dame. They're going to be up for it. But I just wonder, with all the effort put into last week's Clemson game, if you'll see some issues come in like the third, fourth quarter. You might see some legs getting tired, that kind of thing. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and we talk about that. It comes up with Notre Dame every time because Notre Dame has a lot of tough schedules with sometimes back-to-back games that are tough or tricky. We talk about those hangovers with Notre Dame all the time. So why doesn't it apply to them? And it's an early game, too. You don't even have the whole day. So I hope it comes into play. But the flip side of that is we have to be ready, even if they're not.
Oh, absolutely. And Syracuse has, they've been a tricky team in the past, but they've been a tricky team when they played at their home, it seems like. I know I think there's been a couple years I can remember, like in some of the down years that we've had under different coaches, where I think we did lose in the Carrier Dome. But those are different circumstances, too.
Yeah.
I like Notre Dame to win tomorrow. I really do. I think it's going to be I don't think they're going to blow them out. I think they're going to win. I had some thoughts that were brought up by a couple of callers. Really, really good stuff that I've actually been thinking myself. Last year I remember you saying several times, and I was always thinking, John, I don't know if I agree with you in this one. You'd be like, there's not enough balls you can throw to Michael Mayer. And I think this year is proving why, to some degree, that is a problem. I mean, yes, he's doing great. But
hey, I guess I meant balls to Michael Mayer when he's open and not triple covered or something. Like when he's open.
You said that last year when Jack Cohn was the quarterback.
Yeah.
And that guy was a fifth-year senior. And that's another thing. I wonder if Jack Cohn was our quarterback, forget Kelly being the coach still. If Jack Cohn was still a quarterback, we're probably 6-1.
Probably.
But I'm thinking of some things a little more optimistically, though, man. I'm thinking about next year, and I'm like, the quarterback room is obviously going to be better next year than it is this year because everybody's a year older. I mean, you just assume that one of them, whether it's Pine, whether it's Buckner, whether it's Angeli, is going to improve. I can't believe that all three of them are going to regress. And if they do, now there's an issue. Also, I think we know not only is the wide receiver we're getting more players in the room next year, but I just think that Jaden Thomas, I'm high on. I'm high on, obviously, Merriweather. I think Stav's going to figure this out, man. He's having that sophomore slump season. Probably psychologically it's bothering him. When you're like 20 years old, man, and you're like, you were the man the year before, and then someone kind of passes you up, or maybe you've gone through something in your life and it's caused you to not focus as well. That can really play on a younger guy, man. When you're in your 30s and 40s, you kind of get this stuff figured out. But when you're young, this stuff can really weigh on you. I remember my sophomore year, and it was a hard year for me. But then junior, senior, and then my fifth year is when I really did well. That's when I really blossomed. I'm just thinking about those things psychologically. I think we're going to be really, really good in that room next year. Or at least shouldn't say really.
So now let me ask this. A lot of people are convinced Notre Dame's going to the transfer portal unless they landed a 5-star 23 guy that's walking in to compete, next year. So would you still bring in a transfer quarterback if it was you, if you feel like what you have in that room is going to get better? Because my question to you would be, those guys might get better and it still might not be good enough because where they're starting from isn't high enough for me. Do you get what I'm asking? They might get better, but it's still not going to be to the point I need it to be. A la Ian Book getting better and still not being good enough to win our biggest games. How do you avoid that?
Well, no, you're right. I mean, Ian Book is a prime example of a quarterback who started out really well when he started playing on a consistent basis. And I wouldn't say he got worse, but he never got better. He was always kind of that player, So
my complaint with him is he had to be the good runner he was and then be really accurate. But his accuracy went down a ton from year 1 to year 2. The numbers went down. Why is that happening?
Well, I mean, and John, honestly, I'm thinking about this now since the time Notre Dame's been, 1988 on. I'm thinking about, their teams. We've had I'll throw three legitimate quarterbacks that you could see going on to the next level and being good NFL players. And that was Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen, and Deshaun Kaiser.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Even Holtz's quarterbacks, it was all because of the running game and the offensive line and the defensive. And on the other side of the ball on defense, obviously during the Davey, Willingham, Weiss years, the Weiss years were the 2 years we had, really good quarterbacks. But then my defense wasn't any good. So
yeah, you can never get it all. It never lines up. It never lines up for us. Good offense, bad defense. Great defense, no offense. We can never get it all running.
I know, 2015, case in point.
Yep.
2015 was by far our best offense we had at Notre Dame. And by the way, also could make the argument the most talented on paper defense we've had. And it was all ruined because of BBG. I mean,
yeah.
Damn it! Just making me think about that makes me mad.
Yeah, this is all very frustrating. Man, dude, do you ever have this?
We're wasting there right now. John, think about this. I actually will say, and I think by the end of the year, he actually may be invited down to New York. Mayor's playing that elite. If he's not gonna, but if he came back next year, you realize he may be able to ascend to maybe the best tight end ever to play college football?
Well, he's going to be
I'm just
ascending into an NFL locker room instead.
Oh, of course. I'm just thinking hypothetically. Like,
Yeah.
if for whatever stupid reason, I don't know, his dying grandpa or somebody's like, please, all I want to do is see you win the Heisman. And then he decides to come back and play. I'm just saying, he may be the best tight end to ever play if he did. I'm just putting that perspective in that we're going to be losing him. And we're, like you said, we're wasting this year on maybe the best tight end to ever play the game. I mean that. I mean,
it's very
in terms
frustrating.
of college football, in terms of his talent, I mean, Michael Mayer is absolutely fantastic. I've never seen a player that, in terms of just prototypical tight end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what we think of as tight end. I don't know that I've seen a better one in college.
Yeah, it's frustrating though. I always say that with our great players or the great offensive linemen and stuff. I always end up saying it's great to have these individual good players. We never win anything with them on our team though that I care about, and that has bothered me for 25 years. Look at all the great NFL guys Notre Dame puts in the league. I love it. I love putting all of these guys in the league. I would also like you to win something when you're at Notre Dame. Sorry, it would just make me feel a lot better losing all of our best guys in the league if they actually won something here first, then left.
Oh, man. No kidding. One other thing I was thinking about, too, is going back to, like, why do we play so many of, like, the upperclassmen or the players that are a year ahead of somebody else?
Yeah.
Play the younger guys. The only thing I can come up with, other than this being a first-year staff and then, not having the confidence themselves as a staff to able to identify, we're going to sit this guy down, bring this guy up, because you've had years and years and years of experience to know this works, it doesn't work. But the other thing I was thinking of is this. Does it have something to do with the Notre Dame workload that a lot of young players have to go through that, I'm seeing this guy in North Carolina throwing the ball all over the place, and these receivers touch it. I'm thinking the same thing, and I'm like, well, but is it because their workload is so much less that they can be a little more free like that? And it takes an Notre Dame player a couple of years to figure out the algorithm of your academics versus your, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think it's a legitimate. Legitimate thing.
See, but that part is always lurking in the Notre Dame shadows. Like I already have to.
And that's why I thought it was a problem.
Yeah, like I always bake in that as being an extra issue Notre Dame has to navigate and to be concerned about. So how do we think this goes tomorrow, man? You think we play decent, we're all stressed out, and then we escape with the win? Or does it turn dark on us?
No, man, I'm gonna say Notre Dame 23, Syracuse 24. I'm sorry, Notre Dame 30. Or go in my head there. Notre Dame 30, Syracuse 24.
There you go. And you know what? That's in my ballpark of what I'm gonna pick too. So I hope it happens. We're getting it out of the way early. So good or bad, we're gonna know early. Enjoy the game, Rodney.
Hey, you too, John.
We'll talk to you soon. Buddy. Hey, hold it down in Indy there. Behave yourself.
I'll call you Monday, man.
All right. And hey, I got something planned for Halloween. Know that. You know I got something up my sleeve Monday.
Oh, I'll be calling.
All righty. See ya. Enjoy the game. Later.
Bye.
Oh, Chris Totten, $10 holler. I wonder if Reese's failure to adjust is that he still has PTSD from being under Kelly. I don't recall ever hearing about it, but I wonder if Kelly was a control freak and wouldn't allow Reese to adjust. I'm not even thinking 703, 707, the next two up. I'm not even thinking of it that way as far as like not allowing Reese to adjust. I think of it more in the way of this dude's whole framework is Brian Kelly. His whole framework as a recruit and then a player and then coming back as a coach. Everywhere you turn, Brian Kelly's there. I'm sick of the guy. I'm sick of that guy. He's gone. A part of me wants all of him gone. That's what I worry about. How much of this guy's offense is what Kelly put in his head that was never good enough here when Reese was running it as a player and a coach. I'm sick of the Kelly-ness. And the only reason I wouldn't be is if it won us something. But it never did. This team is bipolar. Interesting. And if you turn into the show, you might think I am too. Pat, $4.99. Thanks for the deep dive conversation. That's what we're here for on a Freaky Friday, everybody. Robert K., good to see you here. Need to score on possession first. Phil Ag, Mayor's the only guy Pine short ass can see over the line. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. Oh, man. 703, you're talking to me.
Hey, Big Johnny, how you doing?
Good morning today, my friend. How do you feel about this? The Dome away from home. How are we going to do tomorrow?
I think we're going to do real well. I'm not sweating them. I know I should, but I don't know. I'm delusional. Notre Dame fan think they're going to play well.
Yeah, and so what do you think is the path here? Are you looking at Clemson being able to run the ball for almost 300 on them, try and focus on that, and then pass as needed off that? Like, what would be your plan here?
Well, my plan defensively, we have to stop the run
Yep.
and contain the quarterback.
Yep.
I don't think he's that great of a passer from the couple games I've seen. I know he's like 70%, but I'm not scared of their passing. As long as they're not running on us, it seems like we always give up a big run every game. We'll run or two like we did last week. Offensively, obviously you can't put it in Drew Pine's hands. We got to run the ball, but we got to be more creative when we run the ball. Maybe get Lindsey on the outside once in a while. I know that's a little crazy there. Do that, and maybe get them back in the passing game, because I think the last two games they've already had 7 targets. Then when the offense is rolling against BYU and North Carolina in the second half of the California game, the running backs were getting targeted like 10 to 15 times. I think that's what we're missing. We need more two back sets, I think.
Yeah.
Really when Pine seemed to be protected and did real well.
Not only does that give him more protection, but I like that setup because it gives the defense so much more to worry about. Or is one or both of those guys staying into block? Are they going to go out for a pass? One of them or both of them? Is one of them going to do a block and then go out for a pass? Like, it just gives you a lot of leeway. And I'm all for those 2-back sets. I like them.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody from what I watched. I'm not an expert, but I don't think anybody they can cover Tyree out in the flat. I just don't understand the last 2 weeks with Tommy. What? Because Tyree dropped that one ball in the BYU game. He hasn't got like one targeted since then.
Yeah.
Get him out like you did during the bowl game. You got to get him out there in space. All 3 running backs prove they can catch the ball.
Yep.
And those balls usually won't get knocked down at the line of scrimmage. And that means you're not focusing on Mara 24/7.
Yeah. Yep. It's, man, I just get so frustrated thinking about all this. Like, doesn't it just feel to you that we make football harder than it has to be? Is it just because we look at Notre Dame differently? But honestly, is it because we look at Notre Dame with so much emotion? But when I watch other games, I see offenses that just look way smoother. And I know they don't have the star talent we have. And I see them running good offense.
Well, what's really sad is for the school who's invented the forward pass against Army, that's so painful for us to watch it through the forward pass. You tell me Wake Forest has more talent on offense than we do. Their receivers are like 800 or farther down. And everybody says our quarterback stinks. He's struggling, but he was a top 200 recruit. He's been in the program for 3 years. It's inexcusable for him right now. Maybe some coaching on him, but when he was rolling, he was scanning the field during pass plays. He has plenty of time to throw. He's never under that much pressure. But he just focuses on Mara like last week. That guy was triple coverage, and Lindsey's running behind because the safety ran there. Lindsey's running right down the field. Lindsey, if we had a quarterback, I'm not banging. I hate to seem like I'm banging on Drew. The quarterback that would look someplace else, Lindsey would have 6 or 7 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
And I know everybody thinks Lindsey stinks, but if you have the film, watch the film. Everybody's saying he's running free.
Yeah.
Styles is a different thing. He finally got hit with a ball. You couldn't ask for Pine to throw a better ball to him last week.
I know.
and he dropped it. I don't know what the guy's problem is. I don't know if the rumor about him wanting a transfer earlier in the year, you saw that before.
Yeah, I saw
And,
that.
I
Well,
don't know if he's
hey, our Ohio State guy in the chat is convinced that he's a defensive player. That's what Kent, my Ohio State guy, keeps saying. He goes, John, that's what happens when you recruited a two-way player as offense.
Yeah, but last year he sure could catch every ball, couldn't he?
Yeah, it's just a combination of
very
it's a combination of a lot of different things all in the mix that aren't good enough, and it creates one big ugly problem.
You know what's so upsetting about last week? We won. We won by 23 points. But it was empty calories, John.
That's how I felt. Dude, I took a bunch of crap for this. When I said I was looking for certain things that I didn't see, and it's like, John, you're a jerk. They won by 23. Rough year. You need to be happy. I took a bunch of heat when I said that a lot of the things I wanted to see, I didn't.
Right. You know, that game we won by 23 last week, that would have been great 12 years ago. That's not where we're at now. We got nothing out of that offense last week. Nothing. There is no improvement at all. This is a game where they should have got to receivers catching 3 to 4 passes each. Listen,
man, Notre Dame had 6 red zone appearances in the first quarter. You should have you should have 40-something points already.
Yeah, me and my oldest son were talking. Minimum, they should have had 41 and a half if they were a halfway decent offense.
I'm
5 touchdowns and kick 2 field goals.
It's just
right?
so frustrating, man.
It's
so frustrating. The efficiency here is just an issue. And man, it's really annoying. What do you think's going to happen at the end of the year? Do you think Freeman sits there and takes a real honest look at all this and makes some actual tangible calibrations that we can see? Or does he get up there and go, we just need to polish it all up and better execution next year and everything stays the same?
I really don't care what he says. I want to see what he does. Because right now, a lot of it's coach speak, I think. But if you look at his body language after the game Saturday, he wasn't happy. He was not happy at all. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. He knows there's something going on. And the only thing that bothers me about Marcus is, he says, well, I had to watch film because I don't know much about offense. I go, dude, you're one of the best defensive coordinators in college football at a time. You know what offenses to give you trouble. To talk to Tommy Boy there. And I'm not blaming it all on Tom.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of, like last week, Drew missed 2 or 3 wide open touchdowns last week. I mean, you can't get Tyree any more open. Lindsey's open again. He misses them on bad throws. So it's a combination of everything. And I just don't, maybe the playbook is too big. Simplify it. When I used to coach sports when I was a kid, I always did the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Run the same plays, maybe do a little bit design differently. Don't put too much on this plate. Just have them hit the backs, get it out quick. Hey, you know what, Drew? Look at Mayer and look off of him. Because you remember during the North Carolina game, he looked off to the right and came right back and hit somebody to the left. He's not doing that no more.
Yeah.
That's the reason that pass got knocked down against Stanford, or the one that was intercepted last week, because he just kept on waiting. Dude, if he ain't there right away and you can't throw him open, go someplace else. That'll make the receivers run their routes better and try harder. Maybe Styles was shocked that he got the ball. I don't know. It just drives me crazy. Because I'm watching that game going, wow, okay, it's great. We scored a touchdown, all great. Now we're going to run the ball for the last 40 plays of the game. I thought we got rid of that.
Yeah, I just wanted.
Drew was hurt, but Drew's got hurt. Sorry, go ahead.
My thing with that is, I knew what was coming on the back end of this schedule with Syracuse, Clemson, and USC. That's why it was important. You got a lot of work done in Stanford and UNLV weeks. That was the big thing to me, is that was your 2-week window to be able to work on a lot of stuff, get other guys a chance to touch the ball, play, maybe get Angeli in there, all of that. We didn't play good enough to really work on the things I wanted us to as we enter this stretch we're in now, and I'm nervous. So we'll just see what happens, I guess.
Right. And I totally agree. It feels like somebody's trying to say, well, maybe Tommy's saving it. Not on this show. I'm like, why? He'd be a fool to be saving crap.
We're not good enough to save anything. What do you, if you're losing to Stanford And Marshall, what are you saving anything for?
Yeah, those games. That's the championship. Every week's our championship game. Whatever you got to do to win that game, and if you put stuff on film, that means they have to practice for it.
That's true.
I don't get it. There was a caller before who talked about JT Daniels, I think.
Yeah.
About him wanting to come here, and what was the lowdown? The lowdown, from what I understand, is he wanted to come here. Notre Dame wanted him to come here, but he wanted to be guaranteed the starting job, and they said no. And I have no problem with that.
Yeah, but I also understand that's very, very tricky. I also understand if I was a transfer guy and had one more year or something somewhere, I wouldn't want to transfer and do all that to ride the bench either. So I do kind of get that if you're expecting me to leave where I'm at and come to you just for like a year, I don't blame those quarterbacks for wanting to know kind of how's that going to look, because I'm not going to uproot and then go somewhere and sit the bench. So then you end up in a very, very tricky situation.
Right. But I think with Jack Cohen, they gave him, he was going to be the starter.
Yeah, I think they did too. Yeah, I think that was pretty much guaranteed.
And I think they had high expectations for Tyler, like we all did, or still do. But the thing is, if we don't bring in a recruit next year or transfer, what the hell are we doing next?
Yeah,
we're going to go with the guy.
But see, dude,
I like Tyler.
do you?
Going with the guy?
But see, the point of all this is you're bringing up a good point. The point of all this is the cycle needs to stop at some point. Like the cycle of this quarterback carousel, frustration. What do we do? No linear development, like all of that. That cycle has to end that we've been in forever. For Notre Dame to do anything good in the Freeman era, that cycle in that room has to end. It has to die, and they need to build a new quarterback philosophy and room. Bottom line.
Yep. And that's where the Dante Moore thing does really kill us. Because he said he was coming here. He gave us his silent commitment. And once they saw the dollars being passed out everywhere, Oregon jumped in, and that was it.
Yep. It's very, very, very extremely upsetting.
It's a damn shit. But I want to say one other thing, if I give me a second. You know how Clemson struggled all last year? They lost 3 games. They didn't lose as bad teams as we did, but they ended up just because I'm barely winning every week.
Yep.
And they still ended up with 10 wins, if I recall.
Yeah, I think so.
Praying somehow we're this year's Clemson. I know I'm going on a reach, but hey, you know what? We win this week. I'm not too scared of Clemson. Because their quarterback, I don't think DJ's as good as he was 2 years ago. He's really regressed.
Yeah,
they about the running game.
And there's no doubt, though, even their defense is good, but it isn't what it was a few years ago. Like when we played them in the playoff, like it isn't that kind of defense. Like there's a path to Clemson. There's a path to playing Clemson well at home as well. But I want to see what happens in Syracuse before I start looking into it.
Yeah, we don't want to repeat of 2003. That was painful to watch back then. That's the reason I'm worried about the running back. I think he had to be nicked up last week if they didn't use him.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they're going to have a sellout crowd ready to go. But you know, there's more atmosphere. It seems like when we go on the road because we're everybody's Super Bowl.
Yep.
So it seems to get our guys kind of focused in, and that's what gives me hope. And if we win that game, it's going to be exciting. It might be all Clemson fans Saturday night, but.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's how it is, and we'll see because they couldn't come here at 20.
Yeah, that's true. And I hope our people don't go full Georgia and sell them all to the Clemson folks because we have a couple losses. I just hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's the problem with. We're all Notre Dame fans. We love Notre Dame, and you can see the passion on the Twitter boards and all these other places. But people. If you want to have a real home field advantage, go to the goddamn game. Sorry about my language.
Yeah, go there and be loud. And go there and be loud the whole time, too.
Do that. I know it's hard. They're not giving you that much, but you got to do something. Because back in the heyday, that place used to be a hard place to play. They used to have to delay games to threaten us with a 15-yard penalty because how loud they used to be. Now you can hear a pin drop. I know there's all these old rich fogies who don't want to make any noise once everybody sits down, but F them. We need to get them pushed out of the stadium. We need to take over the stadium.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
We got to make it worse. People. Yeah, got to make it worse. I don't want to go there, man.
Yep. And
we're gonna go there. It's like like a home game.
Yep, you're right. So
When you're 15.
I don't know, man. There's a lot to consider. I don't know. So we'll see. But enjoy the game. I'll be on in the morning. Anybody who wants to call in the morning, if you have anxiety, you know where to find me. Enjoy your Friday, my friend.
Yeah. Well, good talking to you, John. And we're gonna win by at least 10 tomorrow. So
I love it. Beautiful. Love it, my friend. Give me a call again. See ya.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Paul Conley, another $5 holler. This guy's unbelievable. Our wide receiver room would not be so bad if we had a decent quarterback. Quarterback's the main problem. I'm telling you. It's very 707. You're going to be the last caller today. Coming right up. Hang in there. Our wide receiver room would not be so bad if we had a decent quarterback. That's the thing, you guys. It's just really hard to find fair bars to gauge all this stuff without having even real world efficiency in some of these areas. It's unbelievable, man. Matt Cawthon, $10 holler. I appreciate you. A good offense is supposed to confuse the defense, not your own quarterback. That's a very good point. And I appreciate the $10 for sure. A good offense is supposed to confuse the defense, not your own quarterback. It's hard, man. That's a tough place to be when your quarterback's that confused. 707, you're on the air.
Hey, John. Good to talk to you again.
Thanks for waiting, man. Sorry I had you on a hold for a while there. Where's your mind at? Either small picture with tomorrow's ball game or big picture with Notre Dame?
So I've got a couple of, I think, big picture things, and they really go to the same direction, and that really is, I think, everybody needs to take a deep breath. I know what's been happening has been frustrating, and it is what it is. It's difficult. I do want to make a quick point, and then I have a main point. The quickest thing I want to say is, as far as let's bench the older guys, go to the new guys. They're not getting it done. Let's move on to the new young guys. I agree to an extent, but I think it needs to be moderated a little bit. With you don't want freshmen and coming in, or recruits coming in and seeing a bunch of upset seniors who aren't really.
Nope. You are correct.
Program because they spent 3 years busting their butt, and they're competing with this new freshman, and they've got more experience. They know the playbook better. Yada yada. I mean, to an extent, right? At some point, you got to say, look, if you keep fumbling or you drop every pass, we got to try something different. That's.
Yeah, I do agree with you. You have to balance that out. If you are going to go that angle, you have to balance it out. And also, everybody needs to understand, this isn't the NFL or the NBA where if you have a bad year to start, you could tank, bottom out, let all the younger guys make mistakes. Then you get the best player after that. Like, this is the opposite. If you bottom out and have a bad year, it might screw your recruiting classes and teams the next few years. So it is totally different. I just have a hard time when I don't feel like I see consequences to what I deem to be totally unacceptable effort and play. Not only just play, but effort and mindset as well. That's a part of it.
I get that, and
how do you?
Like I said,
Stanford.
I agree.
Stanford.
A little moderation with it because I'm hearing so much of it.
You have to moderate it. I agree with you. You have to moderate it, but I do not defer to upperclassmen that have let us down this much. So I agree with you. There is a balance there. You're right.
And then the main point I wanted to make, and it's still along the same lines, just with a little bit different twist on it, is everybody should it takes like 10 seconds, search for first-year coaching records of famous coaches. And you can talk Notre Dame with Lou Holtz, Eric Parsegian, I believe went 500 his first year. Just Steve Spurrier to who's the god of football in Alabama? Nick Saban, right? Was he 500 or just below 500 his first year in Alabama? Kirby Smart had a little bit better, but he still didn't have a great year his first season. And so you can go back from old school to new school, everywhere in between. A lot of very successful, great coaches. I mean, historically great coaches had bad first seasons. And so, again, I mean, we should be frustrated with what's going on. Things are not going great. There's a lot of problems that we got to work on, but this isn't the end of the world. It's kind of normal historically, even for great coaches.
Now, the pushback on that would be, the pushback to your point would be, and I've heard this, I probably said this, I don't remember, but the pushback on that would be, you could go over all those numbers, but what Lou Holtz walked into was way worse than what Freeman inherited. What Saban walked into at Bama was not as good as what Freeman has had to work with. That's the pushback I get, is even with Kelly, his first year. But what Kelly inherited for his first year was 100 times worse than what Freeman did. So that's the pushback you're going to get, is he inherited a program in a pretty good spot. You therefore can't drop it.
Yes, and no. And, I mean, I don't know if the program was in great shape.
But dude, but maybe not in great shape, but not losing to Marshall and Stanford at home. I'm not saying you had to beat Ohio State,
Right.
but they should have been further along to do whatever that no-show was against Stanford at home.
Yeah, but I think you can say the same again about Steve Spurrier's. Like, there's not. I'm sure in some circumstances, coaches were walking into a bigger mess.
Yeah.
I'm sure in some of those circumstances, I guarantee you, sometime one of the great coaches walked into a better circumstance than Freeman walked into, and still had that kind of season. And so I'm not ready to be too upset yet. I'm not worried on some deep level about Marcus Freeman yet.
So do you think he will take like a long look in the off season at where we're at the first year, take stock of what's working, trending up, trending down, kind of treading water in the middle? Like, so you're confident he's going to have a calibration after this year and get some things right?
I think that there's some things that we can question about Marcus Freeman. His desire to be successful is not one of them. I don't think anyone on earth is taking an honest look at Marcus Freeman and saying he's going to be happy being 8-4 every year if he can get there. Nobody thinks that, and so I think he's smart enough. I think he has enough of a support system around him and enough of a tool to get people to come to Notre Dame. And I think it's just a matter of time until it all clicks and he becomes a beast of a football coach. I don't see any other outcome. I don't see how he could not be a pretty successful guy, because he is driven and he wants to win.
Yeah, I like the encouragement there, or the encouraging outlook. What about, I'm trying to just philosophically play the devil's advocate. What if I say, what's the plan at quarterback? Right now, it's not good enough. You don't even have a 23 recruit. What we're getting out of these guys now isn't that great. Like, what's the path out of that?
It's a tough one. I mean, obviously, I don't have all the answers.
Like for instance, you want Notre Dame to look at a transfer this next year and get some guy with some body of work that succeeded at eye level, or are you going to get Buckner out there and then try that? Like where would you go on that?
I think Notre Dame, especially with Buckner and their idea of a Buckner offense, if you're going to be running your quarterback like he's a running back, whether it's game plan or out of necessity or whatever, you're gonna have injury.
Yeah, you're
He's a
asking
big
for it.
boy he's running into. Yeah, I mean, and so I don't think you can have a running quarterback and not have someone right in his in that sphere of talent. I think Buckner has the talent to be a really good quarterback. I think he could develop into a great quarterback, but I think he's going to get injured.
Yeah, well, that's the frustration. All that development you're talking about, we wanted to start 2 or 3 years ago. You know, like even in high school when he transferred for better competition to play his senior year. Boom, COVID, lost the season. The year before that, ACL, boom, lost season. Come to ND, red shirt, and then you're behind cone. Then you get your chance, and then you fall down the stairs. And then you get your chance, and then you get hurt in game 2. Like, he's had a rough, bad luck run. Rough.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame needs to bring in either a solid 5-star recruit that looks like he's going to be ready to play year 1 or 2, or you gotta take a transfer. I don't think Pine is up to it. It's just not. He's just not. In my opinion, I like him. I think he's got a great attitude. I think he's probably a great guy. He's not really shown he's capable. I don't know about Angel. I don't know if he's gonna step into it. I don't know. Everyone keeps saying he's not ready right now. So we need somebody to be ready, even if Buckner gets back healthy and takes a step up next year.
Yeah. Yep. It's
300-pound guy falling on him might be the end of the year for him.
Yeah, it's rough. So I don't know, man. There's just a lot in the mix here. So what do you think happens tomorrow? You think Notre Dame shows up ready to play in the Dome?
I think this year is going to be. It's kind of like you're on a wave, and it just kind of depends on if you're in the right spot at the right time and catch the wave down, or you miss it and go rolling over the backside. I don't think that there's enough consistency in this team to know who's going to show up, and so yeah, I wouldn't even try to predict it. I'd just be making a guess, really.
So would everybody else. That's how it's been. You never know what you're going to get. It's hard to make a pick when you never know what team you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, they could go in and just destroy them. They could win 60-0.
Yeah.
They could also go in and probably lose 60-0.
It's wild. So you know what you do then? You pop yourself a cold beer and you just see what's going to happen, and you drink the cold beer no matter what. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, New Orleans cured me of drinking after I woke up in the gutter once with a big long story behind it. So I won't be having a beer, but I'll be drinking some hot coffee and smoking some California medicine. And
you don't even need to drink then. You don't need to go the other way. I like that. Yeah, you don't even need to drink then, man. Go the other way. I like that.
And then, it modulates the blood pressure a little bit.
And then you know what else, dude? You know what else? And if the game gets really annoying, turn on some music. Mute that game. Put on some music you like. Like I like your vibe, man. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, happy Halloween, my friend.
Notre Dame's going to be good.
There you go.
It's going to be fine.
Beautiful. Enjoy the game. And if not, enjoy your medicine. All right?
Will do, John. Have a great day.
Take care, man. Have a good one. Brad Johnson says, John, I like the show, but stop sugarcoating this coaching staff. We suck. I realize people are not here the entirety of the show. It's 2.5 hours. People come and go. I realize that. But I started out by saying this show, like, Freeman needs to get to the end of this year somehow, some way, in one piece, and then spend a significant amount of time analyzing this staff. Like, that's something we did talk about today. Huffer Billy, that's funny. I see that. But that's what needs to happen. There are parts of this how do I want to say this? There's no way this is just execution of the plays. There's no way Notre Dame cannot look as bad as they've looked at times this year and just have it be on execution of the team. No way. There are coaching deficiencies and malfunctions going on. And I need Freeman to be able to navigate till the end of the year in one piece and then be able to take a look at, separate it all out. What areas of this team are right now neutral from when I got here to now? What areas of the team are neutral? What areas of the team are trending up? What areas of the team are trending down and why? And I need that analysis to be honest and direct. And if it hurts people's feelings or you have to break up with some of your friends, I don't care. I don't care. I need Freeman to sack up, realize this is his reputation on the line, realize this is Notre Dame football on the line, not care about friendships or any of that stuff. Make some tough determinations. Tough determinations. All right, here's the deal, folks. We've gone over 2 hours. I appreciate everybody for being here, all of the calls, all the chats, all the donations. And we're just going to be here in the morning because it's game day, baby. I'll see you all in the morning. Have a good one.